This content is the property of Put It Out There TV, also known as PIOT TV, a property of the House of Yasha Allah El Trust. If you are viewing and or listening to this content on a non-PIOT TV branded platform, then we kindly ask that you stop and flag this content for copyright infringement. Thank you.
Peace and love, everybody. This is your brother Judas Son for Put It Out There TV, also known as PIOT TV. Hashtag Put It Out There. Hashtag Put It Out There TV. Hashtag Judas Son. Lawfully known as Alataza Bunyashar Allah El. A lot of people may not be aware because I use these different monikers online, but my appellation in concert with my ancestral title is Alataza Bunyashar Allah El. I want to make that clear for the public record because this is a public announcement of a human rights violation that was carried out by a financial institution. But not only is it a public announcement, it is also a chance to educate. So, I made it aware when I first started doing this Put It Out There TV thing. And if you've been following me since YouTube, before my YouTube channel was unfortunately terminated due to me, putting out information out there that the colonizers would not agree with, then you would know that I was always talking about establishing my own media video website and things of this nature to be able to put information out. Now, when I finally got that established, which you guys are aware of, I made a promise to myself, but I also made it clear to you guys that I would utilize this power of free speech, this power of the media, to call out those who are in violation of human rights. This has to be done, because if it does not, what's going to happen is we are going to continue to have our human rights and our birthrights trampled upon by corporations, entities, financial institutions specifically, who want to push off their corporate policy or business practice push it on to us as if it's law, or if it is above law, when it is not. So as you can see on the screen, we're looking at the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Now, on or about August 13th, 14th, 2019, AD, Roman calendar year, I went to a financial institution who does business in the name of CommStar Credit Union, and they are located at 832 Cleveland Street, Elyria, Ohio, doing commerce under the zip code 44035 on the organic land, the Elyria territory. I want to make that clear. All right, because we want to get jurisdictions and venues. We want to make sure that's always clear. And I took in everything that I needed to take in. I took in proof, water bill with the Moorish appellation on it. As well, and this stuff is all can be verified on the public record. As far as this information I'm getting ready to show you here, you can go on the Ohio Secretary of State, look it up, so there's nothing to hide. Then as well, you have the legal documents for I don't know if y'all can see that or not. You have the legal documents for Put It Out There TV trade name, right? And then I have the EIN, which I'm not going to show you that. So I have the EIN as well. So I went to go open up and as you can see here, you know, Allah Tizab and Yasha Allah L on there. Now it's all capital on there, but guess what? I'm fine with that because there's a specific way that I filled out my documents to make sure that if they wanted to turn it into an entity or something other than a flesh and blood man, then I was still able to, you know, do some things without putting myself in a compromising position. And so I go to CommStar Credit Union and I present these documents to a brother, very familiar brother. I cannot remember his name, but I actually used to work with him at Teletech Financial Holdings back in the day. So I was very familiar with the brother. I think we were even friends on one of our Facebook accounts, because I had a few Facebook accounts. I think most of them have been shut down now. And so he was assisting me with opening up the account, and he had an issue which wasn't his fault. I guess maybe it was mine because I didn't do enough research, right? Maybe it was my fault. And he had an issue to where he didn't know how to open up the account because I was using a trade name and attaching it to an EIN number. And really at the end of the day, the issue is that I would have had to have an LLC, at least in the jurisdiction of so-called Ohio. I would have had to make it an LLC in order to use that EIN. Reason being because when you use a trade name is another way of operating in another name under sole proprietorship without using the appellation or the so-called name that's on the birth certificate or the state issued identification card, if that's what you use. So that's why it was just as simple as that. Trade names are for sole proprietorship. So if you're going to open up a bank account, business banking account, then they would want a social, right? So my thing is, I didn't want to use a social because, of course, I don't utilize social security numbers, and there's not one attached to the appellation of Allah Tizab bin Yasha Allah El, which is my true actual identity. That's my identity. And the reason why this can be verified is because I had to sign a contract for this current property that I'm leasing now. And in order to get the water bill on in my appellation, I had to take them the lease. You see what I mean? So this is a rental company I'm dealing with. And then as well, I'm dealing with the municipal corporation with this identity of Allah Tizab bin Yasha Allah El. Not to mention, I just came from the Michigan Republic operating the same way. So there's no fraud whatsoever. So the brother who was opening up the account went and asked for some assistance. Instead of them, and it's not the brother's fault, and I can't remember his name just in case he sees this video. Peace and love to you. Instead of them simply telling me what Huntington Bank told me, because Huntington Bank was going to open the account, but I didn't want to do sole proprietorship. They were going to do it with the EIN, nationality card, and all of that. We'll go into that. So instead of them just telling me, well, the reason why you would have to use a social is because you're utilizing a trade name, and a trade name is just another way of operating under a sole proprietorship without utilizing the name that may be on a birth certificate or a state identification card. And it was just as simple as that. But the issue is the lady's issue at CommStar, and I can't remember her name because if I did, it would be going into this report. She was more focused on the Moorish national identification card than anything. She went in straight to Operation Colonizer immediately. All right, so this is, again, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Now, this is where we show that CommStar Credit Union, doing business at 832 Cleveland Street, Elyria, Ohio, is in violation of human rights. All right, so like I said, when I went in to open up the business account, they wanted an identification card. You know me, you know Judah's son. I pulled out my Moorish National Identification card. It's just as simple as that. Now, the issue at the end of the day with CommStar Credit Union wasn't the paperwork. They have shitty, terrible customer service, because at the end of the day, they still could have told me, you know, the issue with the sole proprietorship thing, it was the nationality card. So now we're going to come down to, maybe I need to go into this a little bit. Okay. Let's do this. All right. So, Annex, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. It says, the General Assembly, guided by the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations and good faith in fulfillment of the obligations assumed by states in accordance with the Charter, affirming that indigenous peoples are equal to all other peoples while recognizing the right of all peoples to be different, to consider themselves different and to be respected as such, affirming also that all peoples contribute to the diversity and richness of civilizations and cultures which constitute the common heritage of humankind. Affirming further that all doctrines, policies, and practices based on or advocating superiority of peoples or individuals on the basis of national origin or racial, religious, ethnic, or cultural differences are racist, scientifically false, legally invalid, morally condemnable, and socially unjust. Reaffirming that indigenous peoples in the exercise of their rights should be free from any discrimination of any kind. Concerned that indigenous peoples have suffered from historic injustices as a result of inter alia, their colonization and dispossession of their lands, territories, and resources, thus preventing them from exercising, in particular, their right to development in accordance with their own needs and interests. These are the practices that CommStar Credit Union has. You see, they have stopped me. They have interfered with me as an indigenous man from what? Developing in accordance with my indigenous needs and indigenous interests. Let's see. Goes on further to say, recognizing the urgent need to respect and promote the inherent rights of indigenous peoples which derive from their political, economic, and social structures, and from their cultures, spiritual traditions, histories, and philosophies, especially their rights to their lands, territories, and resources. Recognizing also the urgent need to respect and promote the rights of indigenous peoples affirmed in treaties and agreements and other constructive agreements with states. Welcoming the fact that indigenous peoples are organizing themselves for political, economic, CommStar Credit Union, economic, hint, CommStar Credit Union, economic, social and cultural enhancement, and in order to bring to an end all forms of discrimination and oppression wherever they occur, especially if it occurs at CommStar Credit Union, who does business at 832 Cleveland Street, Elyria, Ohio. Again, this is the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, which this is evidence that the international community, right, has already sat down with one another and convened and agreed that Aboriginal and Indigenous peoples have these rights. Article 21, Indigenous peoples have the right without discrimination to the improvement of their economic and social conditions. CommStar, how in the hell do you expect my people to resolve and improve their economic and social conditions if they have found themselves and are trying to be themselves, and you are trying to push over fucking policy like it's law when it's not, and then you do not render services that you should be rendering to them, specifically when they are exercising a right that has been secured, acknowledged, and already recognized by the Constitution for the state where you do business and the American Constitution, supreme law of the land. What's poppin', everybody? It's Judas Son with Put It Out There TV. We definitely appreciate you for interacting with our content. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to check the comment section or the description box for the link to the next video. Peace.